Okay, we're going to do a brief tutorial on how to measure a roof from your phone. So you want to click your app to begin with. Easiest way to get into to RoofLink. Map in the top left box. It's going to map where you're at. I'm at the office, but we're going to drag over and say you're at one of these houses here. Let's just pick this one. So you just click on the top of it. It'll tell you the customer's name and address most of the time. Sometimes it's pulling from public data, so sometimes that may or may not be correct. You may have to edit a little bit, but just hit the Create Lead button at the bottom. And you want to select what your status is at the time. You can either put it as lead. If it's insurance job, you probably were there and are filing it, so you just want to hit filed. It goes ahead and creates the lead, so it drops all the data that's already there into the customer's file. So then you can just hit view lead, and it'll take you to the customer's dashboard. Cassandra Watkins. Now you are going to want to edit the data and make sure to put their email and all of those things in. That will be needed to move the file forward in the future. But so from here, what we're looking at doing is doing the diagram for the roof. We're going to scroll all the way down. At the very bottom on the right hand corner is roof layout. So click that. It's going to redirect you to the dashboard. So if you're not already logged in, then you'll want to log into the software. This is just logging into the browser version of it. Okay. So if you had to log in like that, it's probably not going to take you to that lead. It's just going to take you to your dashboard. So I just go back and hit roof layout again, and it will take you into that customer if you're already logged into it. So what we're looking at doing is doing the roof drawing. This one's a little sketch. Let me just pretend like this customer's house is another customer. So in some instances here, you would want to rely on your hover instead of the actual roof sketch for it. So I'm going to do this a little more complicated one here. If I can click on it. I'm just going to hit create building. Usually you drop the dot, but it's not going to let me drop a dot that's not the house. So from there, I want to kind of zoom in as much as I can. There's a flat roof, if you notice on this edge. So, but to begin with, I'm just going to take and start dropping my dots here. Great. All right. So that's not exactly in the right spot. On a cell phone, it's tough to do. So you want to keep it right outside of the roof line. But if you'll touch that dot again and hold it down, you'll see it zoom in like in the little box, and so it makes it much easier to find the actual correct corner. So I'm going to drop that there. I'm going to touch the other dot again, and I'll be able to come over to this corner. Okay, and like I said, you want to come just outside of it. So I like to just, on some instances, I like to just hit it way out here, and then I pull it back to where it's supposed to go. See, because I've got to do this tight little turn right here, and it's not quite big enough. If I was to click that and try to drop it right there, I probably would just end up in another dot and it wouldn't read it. So, and I'll hit this outside corner, drag that back over. This next corner, let me see where I'm at here. So I'm going to come, always stay right outside of it. You don't want to come up short and end up losing sales commission because you've measured the roof wrong. Better to be a little over than a little short. So I'm going to drop it. There's a little weird cut back right here. I don't want to drop all those dots right this second. And actually, I probably wouldn't if I was selling it, and I'd just let it be what it is. But so right now, everything that I've marked has been an eave. That means that the water is leaving the roof line in all these spaces. Let me tighten this one up. I feel like that's out a little far. But so this next line that I'm going to do, it's going to be a rake. So I'm going to click the dot up at the top. and get to the ridge line, and then I'm just going to hit the rake button. It was in the top left, and I'm going to hit the next line down. See the eave rake in the top left of the image. I'm going to hit so the blue one is the one that's selected. So I hit the rake on that one as well. I'm going to drag that a little bit and make sure that I've got that in the right spot. Yeah, I had it pretty close. Okay, so then I'm going to come back to the back corner. That is going to be an eave. I don't have to change that, but my next one is a rake. So I'm going to come up to there. I'm going to hit the rake in the top left, and I'm going to come back down. I'm going to hit rake again. I'm going to pull that out because I got a little tight there. Actually, I think I'll just take this all the way back because there was that little space in the front that I had measured anyway that didn't need it. So then I'm going to go to the back. That is an eave, so we don't have to make any changes to that number. Let me pull that one in just a touch. Get a good straight line there. All right, so our next line is a rake. So I'm going to click that ridge, and then I'm going to hit rake. And then I'm going to come back down to the other, and I'm going to hit rake again. All right. And then I'm going to come, there's a metal roof to the left-hand side of that blue dot and to the right-hand side of the GAF dot. I'm not going to include that in this customer. Let's just pretend like they're not getting that metal roof done. But I do want to get this flat roof in there. So I'm going to come over here and go ahead and bring to the back corner of the flat roof. I'm going to get this other side in. That looks good. And I'm going to come back to this corner. Okay. And then the last thing I want to do is just click my green dot again because I'm going to close the circle at that point. All right. So from there, I've completely sketched out the whole roof, everything that we're going to be roofing on the project. So I'm just going to hit finished. It's going to pop up and ask me what waste factor and what pitch the house is. A lot of times houses are multiple pitches, so you're going to have to go back in and edit the pitches of the individual slopes, but for the most part, most houses are just one or two individual pitches. So on this one, let's just pretend that it is a 712. Actually, click 6 again. So 7. All right, the waste calculation sheet below these videos will explain to you what waste factor to use for what different roofs. This one has a hip roof on it, and it has a lot of cuts on a small gable. So I just go ahead and use the 17% waste factor on this as well. From there, you just want to hit create. Now you notice it has building name. You could change the name of the building. So if this is the house, and you had another building right beside it that you want to do at the same time, you could put detached garage, doghouse, carport, just whatever you want to, whatever they call it. But so you hit create, and from there it takes and just puts the basic things that are on the roof. You want to go in and add the things that are missing, so you got to drag it around. And I know you can't see the full all the labels at the top, but when you click it you can tell what they are. So this is well, I said you could. Anyway, that one's a ridge. So what we're going to do with this button, we're going to cover all of our ridges. If I turned my phone sideways, I would be able to see them because it would make it wider. But for the purpose of this video, I don't want to turn it sideways because then you'll be having to lay your head sideways. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my ridges. Just start clicking on them. Just one to the other side. And then you can go from there to there. Let me pull that in so it's right. We've got one here at the bottom. Okay. I think that's all the ridges that we have on this job. There may be one from here to here actually. Looks like there is. But so now my next button is one that says high, that actually says hips. So it's hips. I'm going to click that. I've got 2 hips on the front of the house. So I'm going to go there, right down to the point. Only that one to there. I got a little wonky with this first one, so let me pull that back in there. All right, so I've got my hips. The next one's going to be valleys. On this one, it's got this weird dead valley. This roof is terrible. This layout, this design is very bad. So that's the only valley on this roof. The next one that we're looking at is the next one is gutters. We don't do gutters, so I'm going to put that on there. Accessories. So this is where you drop in your accessories. So if it's got a pipe boot, now this is insurance. When I put on here that it was an insurance project, that's why I put the claim status as filed. So I want to use only the insurance listings in the products. So I'm going to put 3 in 1 because I'm going to drop my boots in. These are the pipe boots that goes over the pipes that seals the roofs up. So insurance, flashing, pipe jack, remove and replace. Some insurance summary reports list it multiple ways, and when the summary comes in for this customer, you can go back and change this, but I go ahead and drop in what boots are on the roof at the time, because I don't want to have to, for one thing, it's probably the time I'm inspecting it and I've got my tape measure and I can just measure the boots and taking my pictures so I know what I need to drop on there. I would suggest doing this while you're on the roof if you any way possible. If not, when you get done doing your inspection, go sit in your car for a minute, do that part of it. Go ahead and drop everything on there while it's fresh. So I don't see from the images any pipe boots, but I'm going to drop a couple on here. So all you do is click them, and then it just drops the boots on there. I don't see anything else on this particular one that would need to be dropped. I don't see, looks like there's a chimney right on the top of it, and you can click that. Actually, that would need to be, I can delete that after I go back but so what I want to do, I want to change my product. I'm going to delete that 3 in 1, and then I want to take and put in, let's just pretend this is a chimney, so I type in chimney. All right, so you're only looking at the insurance ones. There is a large, which is a 32 by 60 inch, a small 24 by 24, and then there's a 32 by 36 inch. I think this one looks like it's going to be a small. So I'm just going to select the replace line item. You only use the remove if the insurance company has separated out the remove and replace. So you click that, and then I'm going to click it right there as opposed to clicking it on the spot where the 2 is. The 2 is pipe boot, and I didn't change my product, so I'm going to go back in and delete that in a second, that other 2, because I've ordered an extra pipe boot there. All right. So if you've got a variable, like a different roof pitch, you can select here and change the pitch of individual parts of the roof. So I'm going to, we selected that everything was a 712, but I'm going to pretend that we've got a part that's 312. So let's say this front roof that's a hip is a 312. So I'm going to go ahead and start clicking my dots around. And you can click all of them and then fix them when you're done with all of them, or you can, do it one at a time as you go. It doesn't make a difference either way. So, all right, I've got the part that's the change in the pitch, and I'm just going to hit finished on that part of it because that's finishing my pitch change. There's some more options here, and they so there's a little drop down, and you can select, like say you missed a rake, which we did. Now we circled the whole property, but if you notice right here, there's another rake. And we want to do that because we got to put drip edge on it, and we'll need starter strips. So we've got another rake here and here. So we've got those rakes and got that covered now. So I think we've got all of the rakes in there. Ridge vents. So you only use the ridge vent line if the customer has ridge vents existing. Let's pretend this one does. So I'm going to click ridge vents, and you can just select the ridge that the ridge vent is on, and it changes it to purple. So like say they didn't have it on that 7 foot and that 8 foot section, but just the 38 and the 27 foot section. You just click them and it changes them to, just click on the number and it'll change it to purple, and that's changing it to ridge vents. Now on this house, we do have some step flashing that needs to be done. So on that front purple area, that's the hip roof, the water is shedding. So like the other video we done, it will need step flashing there and there. Okay, and then we got to do a little piece of apron flashing. So you can just click the flashing button, click from there to there. These things ain't got to be precise. I missed a section of flashing, of step flashing. It goes here to here. Okay, so that added that other little section on. And then we've got a flat roof. So I'm going to click the flat roof, and I'm going to click draw area. Move this down. So I'm going to circle back around my flat. Not circle around it. I'm going to square around it. Anyway, I'm going to mark it off. Let me scroll down a little bit. Well, I'm moving the roof instead of the... Let's pull that back to where it needs to be. So I dropped another dot in. That doesn't matter. Like if you do that, just put it back in the line where it needs to be, and it's not going to do anything different than what it wouldn't. You could have 1,500 dots around the roof as long as it's still around the edge of it. So that looks good. That's our flat roof, and from there, I don't think there's any other products that I really need to add. If there was a 2-story section, you can click that and mark it off as 2-story. If there's, I don't know what the line tool is. I don't ever use that, but so we're pretty well finished. Just click the finish button. It's gonna make you do it twice because that was finishing the flat roof section. Now I'm gonna finish the whole roof. And so what that does is make it to where the whole thing is done. Remember, I dropped in this boot. I dropped in that boot on top of the chimney instead of dropping in chimney flashing. So I'm going to click that too. And if you notice, a little trash can pops up in the right-hand corner. You just hit the delete button there, and that goes away. On a side note, if you want to ever delete the whole roof, or if you want to open it back up and edit it, or just want to know the numbers, it's telling you the numbers at the top is 26.66 squares. But if you'll click the little arrow to the left, it'll drop down. That was the pre-waste number. This is the number with waste, 31.30 squares. And so the average pitch is 7. It's got your linear footage of drippage, how much ridge vent you need, your hip and valley. It's got step flashing footages, your regular flashing. What you'll need is a transition flashing or apron flashing. The flat areas is 3.7 squares. Flat areas with weight is 4.3. And but right down here at the bottom, there is an edit line. So you can click the edit and you can change the name, the pitch, or the waste factor. Or you can click the actual dotted line, and it's going to open the dots back up on the roof, so you can change those. Like say you messed up and you wanted to edit a little bit, you could go in and do that. Or you can hit the trash can in there and it would completely delete the whole house, and you can start over. Maybe you measured the wrong house and need to get that diagram out of your system, so that when your materials and everything are calculating it doesn't do it wrong. But for the most part, that's it. We've got the roof in there. It's diagrammed. It's ready to go. So you're ready to move on to the estimating phase, which we'll do in a separate video. Let us know if you have questions.